As of July 2025, Europe's political map has been dramatically redrawn, marking one of the most significant shifts in the continent's modern history. The familiar lines that once defined political alliances and ideologies are now blurred, as new forces reshape the landscape. Once marginal far-right parties have surged into the mainstream, not only influencing public discourse but also taking the reins of government in several countries. Their rise reflects a continent-wide backlash against rapid social and economic changes, as well as a growing sense of alienation from traditional political elites. Across Europe, these parties have tapped into deep-seated frustrations, promising to restore national pride and sovereignty. Economic pain, including persistent unemployment and the decline of traditional industries, has left many feeling left behind. Cultural insecurity, fueled by debates over immigration and identity, has further eroded trust in the old center-left and center-right parties that once dominated European politics. The result is a fractured political landscape where old certainties have given way to new anxieties. Nationalist slogans and anti-immigrant rhetoric now resonate with millions, as these parties promise simple solutions to complex problems and claim to defend the common person. Their messages, often amplified by social media, have found fertile ground among those who feel ignored or threatened by globalization and multiculturalism. The rise of the far-right challenges the very foundations of post-war Europe: liberal democracy, open borders and international cooperation. The European Union, once seen as a guarantor of peace and prosperity, now faces unprecedented skepticism and internal divisions, as member states question the value of unity. This shift tests the resilience of democratic institutions and the unity of the European Union, fueling polarization and division. Political debates have become more heated and societies more fragmented as opposing visions for Europe's future collide in parliaments and on the streets. Understanding this movement is crucial to grasping Europe's present and future. It is not just a political story, but a social and cultural one, affecting how Europeans see themselves and their place in the world. Let's explore the forces behind this transformation, the countries at its forefront, and what it means for democracy across the continent. The answers will shape not only Europe's destiny, but also the global order in the years to come. The modern European far-right is not a single entity, but a spectrum of parties united by core themes. Fierce nationalism, anti-immigration stances and deep Euroscepticism set them apart from mainstream conservatives. They frame the EU as a threat to national sovereignty and portray themselves as champions of the people against distant elites. Social conservatism is central, opposing progressive changes, defending traditional values, and invoking Europe's Christian heritage. These parties tap into anxieties about cultural loss and rapid change. Since the 2000s, they've rebranded, distancing from overt racism, softening rhetoric, and focusing on issues like immigration and law and order. This mainstreaming has made them electable and expanded their appeal. The far-right's evolution is key to understanding their current power and influence. France's national rally under the leadership of Marine Le Pen stands as a striking example of how far-right movements have transformed from fringe actors into powerful forces within mainstream politics. Once dismissed as outsiders, the party has steadily gained ground, capitalizing on public discontent and a shifting political landscape. Through a process she called de-demonization, Le Pen worked to soften the party's image. She expelled extremists, distanced the party from its controversial past, and rebranded its message to focus on economic protectionism, skepticism toward the European Union, and strict immigration controls. This strategic repositioning helped the national rally appeal to a broader segment of the French electorate, including many who once viewed the party with suspicion. The party's message has found particular resonance among voters in regions hit hard by economic decline and deindustrialization. Many in these areas blame political elites, the EU, and immigration for their struggles, seeing the national rally as a voice for their frustrations and hopes for change. The party's rhetoric taps into a sense of national identity and lost pride, promising to restore control and security. Even after Le Pen's 2024 conviction, which barred her from seeking the presidency, the national rally's momentum has not faltered. Supporters remain undeterred, rallying behind the party's cause and viewing legal setbacks as evidence of establishment resistance to their movement. The party's influence has extended beyond its own ranks, pushing mainstream conservative parties to adopt tougher stances on immigration, national sovereignty, and law and order. This rightward shift has fundamentally altered the tone and direction of French political debate. Today, the prospect of a national rally-led government is no longer unthinkable. Such a development would have profound implications, not just for France, but for the future of the European Union and the continent's political balance. If the National Rally were to take power, it would likely challenge the EU's authority, pursue harsh anti-immigration policies, and embrace economic nationalism, potentially reshaping France's role on the European and global stage. France's experience with the National Rally highlights not only the far right's growing appeal, but also the deepening divisions and anxieties within European societies as they grapple with change and uncertainty. Germany's Alternative for Germany, AfD, has shattered post-war taboos, rising from Eurosceptic roots to a hardline anti-immigration force. The party's strongest support comes from former East Germany, where economic and cultural grievances run deep. The AfD's 2024 surge made it Germany's second-largest party, drawing support from disillusioned youth and leveraging social media. Despite being shunned by other parties and labeled extremist by authorities, the AfD's influence is undeniable. Its rhetoric of lost identity and national pride has shifted debates on migration and integration. The AfD's rise signals a durable political shift, not just a protest vote. Other parties are forced to respond, pulling the national conversation further right. Germany's experience underscores the far right's ability to reshape even the most stable democracies. In Central and Eastern Europe, the far right often merges with populist conservatism, as seen in Hungary under Viktor Orban's Fidesz. Orban's illiberal democracy dismantles checks and balances while maintaining elections, serving as a model for aspiring authoritarians. His government thrives on nationalism, anti-EU rhetoric and culture wars, consolidating power and marginalizing opposition. Poland's Law and Justice Party and Slovakia's Smer have followed similar paths, clashing with Brussels and stoking anti-EU sentiment. Romania's AUR party's recent rise further demonstrates the region's nationalist turn. These governments challenge EU unity and values, complicating responses to crises like Russian aggression. The bloc of Eurosceptic states threatens the EU's ability to act decisively. Central and Eastern Europe's trajectory is a warning for the future of European democracy. In Italy, Giorgia Meloni's Brothers of Italy party surged to power in 2022, a result that sent shockwaves through Europe and raised concerns about the future direction of one of the EU's founding members. Many observers feared a sharp turn away from European cooperation, but Meloni has surprised critics by pursuing a pragmatic pro-EU foreign policy, balancing Italy's national interests with the realities of European integration. At home, however, she has advanced a staunchly conservative domestic agenda, focusing on issues like immigration, family values, and national identity. Meloni's dual approach, cooperative and diplomatic abroad, but hardline and uncompromising at home, reflects a new strategy for Europe's far right. Rather than isolating themselves, these parties now seek to gain credibility on the international stage while pushing their core priorities domestically. The goal is to gain legitimacy, then use that platform to advance nationalist goals from within the system. In the Netherlands, this strategy played out differently. Geert Wilders' Party for Freedom, or PVV, won the most seats in the 2023 elections, marking a historic breakthrough for the Dutch far right. Yet, despite this electoral victory, Wilders faced immense challenges in forming a government. His radical positions and the fragmented nature of Dutch politics made coalition building nearly impossible, ultimately preventing him from becoming prime minister. The Dutch experience highlights a key dilemma for far-right parties. Electoral success does not always translate into stable governance or executive power, especially in countries with proportional representation and complex coalition dynamics. Still, these victories have a profound impact. They shift national debates on immigration, security, and identity sharply rightward. Even when far-right parties are kept out of government, their influence forces mainstream rivals to adopt tougher stances and reconsider their own policies, reshaping the political landscape in the process. Italy and the Netherlands illustrate both the adaptability and the disruptive potential of the far right in Europe. As these parties evolve, they bring volatility and uncertainty to European politics, putting the traditional political center under increasing pressure. New alliances are forming, old divisions are deepening, and the future of European unity is being tested in real time. The UK's Brexit was an early triumph for nationalist, anti-elite politics, echoing themes now common across Europe. Post-Brexit, the Conservative Party absorbed much of UKIP's energy, but unmet promises and persistent immigration have fueled new discontent. Reform UK, led by Nigel Farage, has surged by attacking the political establishment and demanding tougher immigration controls. The party's rise threatens to split the right and reshape British politics, even if it's unlikely to win outright. Reform UK's influence forces mainstream parties to adopt harder lines on immigration and culture. The UK's experience shows that nationalist grievances persist even after major victories like Brexit. Populist movements can re-emerge if underlying issues remain unresolved. Britain's story is a cautionary tale for the rest of Europe. The far-right's rise threatens the unity and effectiveness of the European Union. Nationalist, Eurosceptic governments make consensus on critical issues like foreign policy and migration harder to achieve. This gridlock weakens the EU's global standing and ability to respond to crises. Within member states, far-right parties often undermine democratic institutions, attack judicial independence, and restrict minority rights. Democratic backsliding creates hybrid regimes that look democratic but lack real protections. Polarization deepens as us versus them rhetoric divides societies and fuels hate speech. Mainstream parties, pressured by the far right, shift their own policies, normalizing extreme ideas. The erosion of shared democratic values threatens Europe's peace and stability. The continent faces a more volatile and unpredictable future. Are far-right parties solving real problems or exploiting fear? The answer is complex. They tap into genuine grievances, economic insecurity, cultural anxiety, and distrust of elites, often ignored by mainstream parties. By offering simple narratives and clear culprits, they give voice to those who feel left behind. But their solutions rely on fear and division, not nuanced policy. Far-right parties thrive on crisis, perpetuating grievances rather than resolving them. Their promises of strength rarely address root causes, risking deeper division and democratic decline. The challenge for democracies is to address legitimate concerns with credible, inclusive solutions, not just dismiss or mimic the far right. Europe's future hinges on whether hope or fear shapes its politics.